Welcome to the portfolio screen recording workshop for application to the OCC Endowment for the Arts Scholarship. We as faculty just wanted to give you all students an opportunity to look and dive into how to build a portfolio from scratch. I've created one here that's pretty quick. And I would recommend using Google Slides as it's accessible for everybody. It's pretty easy and intuitive to work with, and you can export your portfolio as a PDF. You hit download, boom, like that. We'll go over that later, and then submit via that way, because for the scholarship that is due at the end of February, we are asking you to submit a digital portfolio this time around, and this is important because every application now will be, in your career will be most likely digital. No one accepts in-person portfolios anymore, so we wanted to teach you how to do that. So here's a really simple example that I've created with slides that will be exported as PDFs, and we'll just go over some basic foundations to get you started. So on your first page here, you definitely want to say for application 2, whatever the opportunity is, OCC Endowment for the Arts. Make sure everything's spelled correctly. And then portfolio, it could be portfolio presentation or portfolio. Then you want your name here. It'd be great, to put your contact information. Maybe you could put your email here. I put my website here. My contact information is on my website. So just as long as whoever you're applying, or wherever this is going, people can get in touch with you. You don't want to give them all this information and then not have them be able to contact you. So make sure that they can contact you. Always put your name and your contact information. When you're thinking about design, you want to make sure that it's clean, it's not distracting. Ideally, you want to have some nice white space in your portfolio. Obviously, your design doesn't need to reflect mine. This is my portfolio, so you should look your own way, but you want it to be clean, minimal. You want the design to support your work, not distract from it. So I think that's really important here. So feel free to kind of use this as an idea and go from there. Put your own touches on it. And then the nice thing about Google Slides is it's very straightforward. The thing that I would recommend is making sure that you have your grid showing and your view, so that you can put everything on a line when you're presenting your work. So every slide goes along with those guides. If you don't do that, things get messy, things look weird, things don't line up. So when somebody's going from the top slide to the bottom slide, it changes, and that's going to mess them up. You want everything to be predictable for your committee member, so that they don't get caught up on these little design details. So throw these grids into your presentation here, and you can move these grids like this. So you just grab it and you move it. You can create new ones by clicking from the top and then dragging down like that. Same here. So you click here and then you drag. You click and hold. So you have to click and hold. You can change the background color if you want. You can change, you can really play with a lot of this stuff, but honestly, I like to just keep it simple. I just want to present the work, give them the information they need so that they can look at it and move from there. So, when you're thinking about the images to present in your portfolio, you really want to make sure that your work is well photographed. If it's two-dimensional, there's no glare on the page. The lighting is right. The colors are right. You can change all that in your editing software, whether that's on your phone or Adobe, Photoshop. We have Photoshop in the computer lab, so feel free to use those. And then the second thing is and also for 3D work, you really want to make sure there's not too much distracting imagery in the background, or if the background is part of it, it's all kind of cohesive and unified in that photo. You want to make sure that everything's lit correctly and the work is just shining. So the other thing is that if you put multiple images on a page like this, then you can tell a more wholesome story about the work. So you can see that this is kind of a mirrored, organism in the desert here. Oh, we can see there's different shots of it. You get a different kind of story. And then I also notice here that Harbinger is a short film. That's this title here, where I put the title. And then if I click here, it's a link, and I can go to this link, and I can play it, and it is here. Okay, so you want to also, it's totally fine to put links within your portfolio. If they want more information, they can go here, and then here's more information on the piece with the video. That has to do with 3D work. 3D work, generally does really well through video. Maybe 2D is a little bit different, but yeah. Think about including multiple images on a single slide, and that way you can actually provide more information and still stay within the guidelines of what they're asking for. Generally, a portfolio application will ask anywhere between 5 to 20 images, and you can count a slide as an image. Okay, so I know this is 3, but you can really just count this as one piece. So as long as it doesn't go beyond the next slide, count it as 1. Additionally, when you're organizing your portfolio, you want to make sure that you're thinking about the colors, the textures, the concepts, what the work is about, between the work. So you notice that this has these kind of grass-like textures, these colors, and then my next piece that I've selected here carries these materials, these textures into the next slide, so it's not a jarring transition. Start with your best, some of your most interesting best work, and then middle work towards the middle of the portfolio, maybe something that isn't so good, and then you want to end with a bang too. So you really want to try. Ideally everything's great, but when you're starting out, you're not going to have so much work, right? So just select your best work first, maybe your mediocre work in the middle, and then again your best work at the end. And think about the transition between each piece. So we have these grass textures here. I carried it forward into this work. There's always more information that the person can click if they're interested. And then I have these earth tones and this idea of light, so which I then carry into this next work here, which we can kind of dive, if somebody's interested, they can look deeper into these cracks. And then, you see these cracks, these waves, and then I'm thinking more about water and earth, so that there's then these ideas between waves and surface texture. Looking at water, we go to this water piece where it's a performance. Again, they can click for more information. And then this whole piece is actually within this show, which had to do with the idea of this work. So I selected this. There's a video of it. And see how the tonalities are kind of also changing. So this is kind of more monochromatic. It then goes into a more monochromatic tonality within the show here. I'm selecting work. This is a whole body of work, and I'm selecting images that try and tell a kind of larger story of the work. We have rock, we have light, we have a mirrored surface there, blues, oranges, kind of a minimal approach to the work. And then so we have light and stone going from that to this, right? So that there's kind of a nature focus here, synthetic in nature, or light and rock, Same thing, light and rock in a white space. Then I'm thinking about these angles, and then I have these angular compositions in this video, this film that I recently made, and this hole here, which then goes into this hole here, this circle, spectrum of colors, and then this kind of concentric ring, these concentric circles go into this type of concentric circle in the desert, and so on. So I'm really thinking about how each piece moves into the next, how it tells a story of each work, and how they're contextualized with the work next to it, or in front of it and behind it. You're probably going to have 5 images, 5 to 10, or 5 slides, 5 to 10 slides. Videos are welcome. Just make sure that these links work. And the way that you can, if you don't know how to do that, you highlight it, you right click it, or double finger click it, and then you can hit link here. So just bring up this little menu there. I believe you can also link it up here. Anything that you don't know how to do, you always can search Google. Just Google your problem, and guaranteed someone's made a video on it. So if you don't know how to make a link and you can't figure it out, from what I just showed you, Google it. It will show you. I think that being said, in terms of design, I've created 3 images on each slide, and it never changes. It's always the same, all right? So nothing is popping around, nothing's moving too much. Everything is there, the way it was before. Don't surprise your person who's looking at your application. Keep it consistent, okay? That's really important. So I have my name here on every slide. Notice how this never changes in terms of its position. It's always there. And then this is the title of the work, where it was created, and the place or kind of area it was located. So this was created at US Fair Teft, which is a sardine factory in Bergen, Norway. This is the title. It was created at Yaddo in Saratoga Springs in New York. This piece was, again, created at USF Fair Teft in Bergen, Norway. This was a performance called Landkeeper in Skulia, Norway. This one was the Net Factory in Seyðisfjörður, Iceland. This one is the Mojave Desert for the Museum of Art and History in California. So basically, you're giving as much information as possible, as quickly as possible. People, whenever you're applying to anything, they're going to be going through, hundreds of applications of something. You want to make sure that your work is visually impactful, considered, and delivers the most amount of information as quickly as possible without too much fluff, without too much distraction. So it's got to be clear and concise, because these, the people that are going to be looking at your work are going to also be looking at a lot of other people's work. So you want to make sure that it presents well. Again, put your information there. And then I think, what else? So once you kind of get that down, I guess I'll kind of show you, if you don't know, if you don't, you could do 3 images. If you wanted to do 1 image, you can also do that. I can delete that, no problem. I can expand this. The only issue with some of this is kind of figuring out the composition. I guess you could do that, but it doesn't look the best. I got to get rid of these lines here. This will expand. You can kind of stretch it, but then it starts to stretch. If you do need to make your photo bigger, that's totally fine. Just keep it consistent throughout the same thing. If you really only have one really great image, that's fine. Just make sure it's consistent through the whole thing. If you need to crop this, you can. Just hit the crop image button there and drop that down to where you want that to get cropped, okay? That way it stays consistent. You have nice negative white space here above your language, and it looks, it presents well. If you want to turn that off, you can go to View, Guides, uncheck that, and look, that's a nice powerful image, right? Pay attention to these borders, maybe make them even or make them consistent and intentional. Okay, I'm going to go back to what I had because I don't want to redo it. And I'm going to turn these grids back on because they're visually helpful. Show grid. When you're ready to export, let's say I have these 20 slides I want to export. That includes that one. You're going to go to File, Download, PDF. It's going to download into your Downloads folder. Here it is. I'm going to double click it to open it. And then here it is. This is key too, because then it kind of helps you see where you've messed up. So what I'd actually probably do is go back. I don't want that here. I want the arts to the right here. So it's going to be a back and forth process if you don't catch it right away. But everything else should be good. I'm just scrolling down. Just double check to make sure that your links all work. If your links, just make sure everything works. Qualities, 1020. That looks like it works. Just double check everything works if you have links, to somewhere else. Okay. In the scholarship application, it asks you to submit an image list as well. And an image list is basically something that looks like this. It's a document that you're going to open up probably on Google Documents, create a new one. Drop your photo of your piece to the left here. Again, I have a grid here so that it all lines up. See that? Put the title, any information that's important. So like, where it was shown, or, within your experience, you're probably going to want to just put the size, the dimension, the date. If it's a video, how long it's going to be, the materials, and then, a 3-sentence max description of the work. Talk about materials, talk about process, talk about, the themes. Don't be overly prescriptive in terms of what you tell us about, or what you tell your viewer about the work. So just talk about what the work is. What is the work doing? Not what you're trying to make the work do. Really look at what the work is doing. Where does it come from? What's the process of making it? All that stuff. And distill that down into 3 sentences. This isn't for this endowment, so this is just my own image list. But have these correspond to, the first one is your first slide. The second one would be your second slide, which I've reorganized, so I actually don't know where it is. I think that is down here. So that's Dune drawings right here, with your language here, and your pages, okay? So here's what page it corresponds to, so that your committee person or your juror knows which one it is. So this is an image list. I just want to go over that because we specifically asked for that. So you're in your piece, you're gonna download your slideshow as a PDF. Again, going through File, Download, PDF. Then the next thing you're going to do is, let's say I want to download this. This is my image list. I have 3 pieces here. And I'm going to download this as a PDF as well. It's going to go into downloads. Here it is. And then what I'm going to do is I have this one and this one. And everybody, as a student of OCC, should have access to the Adobe suite, or you should have access to Adobe. If for whatever reason you don't have a computer, there's computer labs in the OCC Arts Center on the 2nd floor, and they have open times, which you can go in there and use the Adobe suite. And so this is Adobe. And what you can do is you go here. Here's your pages. Let's say I want to add this page. Let's see if I can drag and drop it actually. And then if you ever don't know what a button does, you can just hover your mouse over it. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to actually insert pages this way. I'm going to go to my portfolio, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my my portfolio image list here. I'm going to drag and drop that in here. So now I have, my images here, and then I have my image list here as well. So it's all in one document. So the jurors can go, look at this, like Sisyphus wears a tie, and then go down to wherever that's included here, and I can look more at, what this piece is about. Okay, so put that all in one piece, or all in one PDF. Again, that's by clicking that little toggle button there. And then what you're going to do is go to, it's not my first one, I'll go to the first one. It doesn't really matter, but here, there's my thing. Remember, I'm going to change that by going into my portfolio. Yes. So I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger so the arts comes up there. I'd re-export it. This would then get fixed. Okay, that would go up there. I would drag my image list into the PDF here in my portfolio PDF, and then I'm going to export as a PDF here. So hit File, down, and then you're going to go, I guess just save as. Just save as. Save as. If you want, if your files are super big, you can hit reduce file size. That helps. Choose where you want to save it. It'd be like OCC example, portfolio, and I'm just going to go to my desktop. Okay, boom. And then you can go to your, the actual application is here, and where you're going to upload your application or your portfolio is down here. This is just the Orange Coast College Academic Works. And then here it is. So students majoring in visual arts, please submit a PDF containing this. So just follow these directions. Any medium will be considered. Include this in your image list. This is where all that information should go. On your portfolio, your actual portfolio, just do the images, and then on your image list, you can include this information. Okay? Ensure your images are high quality. Everybody's phone should be good enough, but I would also suggest maybe if you can, borrow a nice camera or see if you could rent one from OCC. But your phone should definitely be fine. Most phones have a capability to turn your images into RAW mode, which is a higher quality photo. So you can also look into that. But once you're ready, you can click this, choose file, and then I'm going to go to my desktop. There's my example. I'm going to upload it there. OCC Monroe Eisenberg portfolio for application to OCC Endowment for the Arts. Update, and then it's right there. So this is much easier than putting something together physically and then having to go to the office and drop it off. This is also going to be much more applicable to the rest of your professional life. This is how you will be applying to things. So you want to start getting good at this, and you want to start working on your portfolio now. And then if there's any questions, you can reach out to anyone from the arts department, Chris Kearns, Monroe Eisenberg, Catherine, and Holly would also work. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions, and good luck.